Hello and welcome to another Cerealboxd review. And excuse me. Today we are talking about All About Eve, 1950. It's a classic film. It's a classic film I've never seen. And isn't this your first time watching it?
It is indeed, yes.
Okay. Yeah. It stars Bette Davis. It's on the tip of my tongue. What's her name? She that plays Eve.
Yeah, no one remembers who plays Eve.
I know who it is, but I just cannot remember the name. Hold on. I don't. Where the fuck? Okay. I don't even know. I was gonna grab. That's right. Okay, never mind. I don't even have it anymore. I was gonna grab the DVD, but I forgot that I returned it. Yeah. I don't even. Yeah. Hold on. Just Google. I could just fucking Google it. It is Ann Baxter.
Shit.
I looked into my movie recommendation book thing. I used a book to find an actress's name. Who does that? Who does that nowadays? Ann Baxter, and it has George Sanders is in it, and also young Marilyn Monroe's in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now I know the actor's name thanks to 501 Movies Must See book. That was sitting right next to him. Okay, so that is the longest intro ever. Figure out an actor's name. So yeah, it has them in it, and it is about it's about an actress named Eve, well, a chick named Eve who she pretty much she's like an aspiring actress. Eventually she becomes an actress, but she's kind of just working her way to the top, like either acting kind of like being a victim, or like pretty much sucking her way to the top to be an actress. And Bette Davis she's like a washed up actress, and she has a hard time getting these roles, but Eve's getting these roles and stuff because she's younger and she's playing the game. And then there's a few people that slowly start realizing that. That's pretty much the movie. And so All About Eve. So yeah, this is a film I've never seen it before. I've heard about it for the longest time. It's one of those movies you kind of hear like the title all the time, but I've always seen it on like lists of like movies, or like either must see movies. Hell, it was even in that fucking that movie book that was sitting right next to me. And I didn't even know that movie was in there, but I just assumed it was going to be in there. That's why I looked it up real quick. And so yeah, I've always seen it in like stuff like that, either on movies you must see lists, or like books, or like it's always on lists of like best movies. I think it's even on. It's probably on the AFI top movie list, probably. So yeah, it's one of those movies that I've always seen. it's kind of interesting because this year is like I've been watching a lot of those kind of type of movies, like movies I've always heard about over the years, but like the name, but I have no idea what they're about or anything. And this is like one of them, like a few other ones, like Paper Moon was always like that. I always saw that poster and that like I've always seen that title all the time, but I never even knew what the movie was like about or anything. I didn't know like any context. I just always saw that over the years, or like well, this was last year I watched it, but like The Apartment was like that too. I had no like context even what it was about or anything, but I always saw the poster or that always like mentioning on lists and that kind of thing.
I remember hearing about it. I saw that Diane Keaton Oscars Lifetime Achievement deal or whatever, and I saw Woody Allen giving a little speech. This was like a number of years ago, really, and he said something along the lines of, "When I first met," sounded like Kermit there. When I first met Diane, I was reminded. You might remember a movie character. She was so driven, and she was so bold and clearly invested in her work. And do you remember a movie character by the name of Eve Harrington? And everyone laughed, and I remember like sort of like, but I had to be like, okay, well wait, who's Eve Harrington? Because I had no idea who the fuck Eve Harrington was. And so I remember it just as the just the character and the idea of like a young wannabe movie actress or whatever, like manipulating her way to the top.
Yeah.
Actually, to it.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie is actually surprisingly very topical. Like it. I mean, it's a pretty timeless story, but it there's because nowadays there's a lot of, I mean, everybody's always talked about people that sleep to the top or whatever, but but nowadays, especially like the whole like either like the like the Me Too movement, the Harvey Weinstein stuff, yeah, or even the idea of this doesn't really necessarily have to be with film. It could be like television or like music too or whatever. Like kind of either like industry plants or like people that started on like social media like Twitter or something and kind of played the game and like they're like nobodies but they tweet a lot about like, I don't know, their political opinions or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're on all these like shows and appearing in all these movies, and you're like, where did this person come from all of a sudden? But then you find out, oh, we're playing the game by like they're like a nobody actor, but then they start posting political opinions and that kind of thing. And so this movie it holds up in that aspect. Yeah, and anyways, before I get into it, like kind of getting deeper into the movie, what did you think of the movie?
I quite enjoyed it, and I don't always like go straight to like if I'm looking for a movie, this particular like Hollywood it's sort of the later days of the old Hollywood field, as you said, 1950 or so, and like you see Bette Davis here, but she's getting older, and I don't often go into that particular world because it's just as Hollywood today is pretty hit or miss, and sometimes leans toward However, I felt pretty instantly that this was a movie with a certain freshness to it, and the freshness lasts to this day, I guess. So,
yeah. I enjoyed this movie too. I do like. Well, yeah. A lot of classic Hollywood films are hit or miss. I I do I do like. I feel like I like a lot of classic Hollywood movies more than I don't know, the average, like, I don't know, 20-year-old cinephile or something like that. I probably do like them a lot more, but yeah, they are hit or miss. But I do like. I've always liked. I don't know. Like, there's some about classic Hollywood movies I've always liked. Is like they're not they're very theatrical, where they're filmed. Not all of them, but like a lot of them are kind of filmed the way the actors act, or the blocking and stuff. It kind of reminds me of, like, theater, sort of. Um, and so yeah, there's that aspect, but the especially the colored ones, I always like the. I love a lot of colored movies from, I don't know, like the 50s and early 60s, when they would film in, like, CinemaScope or whatever. And I always liked I just always liked how the movies looked and stuff. I always liked the idea of, like, how there's like an oversaturation to it, but it's like, but the movies are yeah, there's not really, like, they're very, like, I don't know if fantastical is the right word, but they're definitely not, like, grounded in reality. If it is, like, a drama, like the way the actors act, or like the way the movies are made, there's like a
plasticity.
Yeah, or like a
hair, man,
the hair.
But all falls perfectly, like in the scene, which I want to talk about later, where Betty gets, like, thrown on the bed or whatever by the man. Look at her hair next time, and it's just perfectly laid out and looks as curious and smooth as ever when she's, like, not slammed onto the bed, but, plopped.
There's something to it, but I mean, I do prefer like, new Hollywood sensibilities, yeah, some about classic Hollywood I do like. And I think classic Hollywood too is that these type of movies, don't exist anymore. But not just that, they're like like time capsules. Like, you could not make, like, there's people, like, that make a movie that's like something from the past. Either it's like 80s horror movie, or something like The Artist, or just like a silent movie or whatever. But like, you could not make, like, a classic. I mean, there was, like, La La Land, kinda, not really. I mean, it captured the vibe of all those old musicals, but it still just felt like a contemporary movie. But you could not make, like, your own version of a classic Hollywood movie. It just wouldn't work, translate well. And so now, but that's why I think it's interesting about them. They're just, you can't, like, remake them. You can't really do anything. Like, you can't make that type of movie anymore, even if you try or whatever. But and that's what I think's interesting about them. I'm not a huge fan of actually, my least favorite decade in cinema is, funny enough, it is actually. My least favorite is the 40s. That is my least favorite decade. And to the point where I think even my Letterboxd, I don't even think I have an above average. I might have a couple, but they might be ones that are not, like, they're kind of throwaway ratings or whatever. Like, of a movie I haven't watched in a long time or whatever. But I don't think there's an above. I gave it like any 40s movie an above average rating. And that includes a lot of the classic ones from that era, like, which is funny. I don't know. I don't vibe with movies from the 40s. Like I don't like them. Like a lot of them I just don't like the way they're made and stuff. And I think it was too because it kind of extended in the 50s, but a lot of people say that the 40s and 50s are most like oppressive time for movies and stuff, and like
Absolutely.
yeah, and so they're very very Hollywood driven, but I think that the why the 40s is worse than the 50s because there's actually some 50s movies I really like that, but yeah, a few of them are like foreign, but even there's some American ones I do think are pretty good. I think that the 40s was I think because it was made just during World War II pretty much, and I think that it's kind of like now. Well, it kind of reminded me of when the height of like COVID like lockdowns that were happening or whatever. The type of movies coming out, that I think that it's kind of similar like the type of movies that came out in the 40s, where there's these kind of like there's like I don't know, there's like an almost like an they're actually awkward. Like there's a you can tell they're made during something going on in the world, but it's like either trying to hide it or they do confront it, but it just comes off really awkward. And then to the point where you're watching, like, wow, this is going to be very dated. This is going to be dated very quick. And there's like a weird, like both those movies. I'm going to be talking about like Hollywood movies in particular, both in the 40s and I don't know during 2020 or whatever. That there's something like there's an awkwardness, but it's almost like the people making it are like scared to be creative during a world thing. Like there's something weird, like there's something like that, and kind of similar to during like 9/11 was a similar vibe too. That there's like yeah, a lot of people are just like in Hollywood, like there's a big world thing going on, and they're kind of making I don't know whatever genre. They're just like there's something like restrictive about it. Like they don't go like if you look at any 40s movie or whatever, a lot of them can be like a crime film, a western, a horror movie or whatever. Like they don't like they're very polished and like yeah, definitely polished. They don't really and movies back then, there wasn't like gore or sex or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of those movies in the 40s, even the 50s, are super polished, and yeah, a lot of them just don't hold up because of that. Yeah, so the 40s is my least favorite decade. I actually like the 30s a lot, and I do like I like the 60s all the way through, but I do like the early 60s a lot, because my two favorite decades of movies are definitely like 70s and 60s are my two favorite decades. Sure. That gap, even not just New Hollywood, but even the old Hollywood, the 60s, I kind of put in that same gap. Movies I like the most. Yeah. Anyways, so All About Eve. Yeah, this is probably one of the most honest. I feel like this movie wouldn't. Oh wait, has this movie been? Has this movie been remade? Once?
Has it? I wouldn't be shocked.
I thought there was one from like the late 70s or something.
Maybe like a softcore remake, one of those type of deals.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
I almost thought there was. I'm not sure. Obviously, it's not as famous as this one, but yeah, because there's like the period in that it's kind of what they do now, I guess, but like in the late 70s, like early 80s and stuff, where they started remaking like some classic Hollywood movies and stuff, especially Hitchcock kind of movies and stuff. yeah, but yeah, this is probably one of the most honest. I feel like this movie would not this type of story, which could work in. I mean, it would work obviously in a modern movie, but like if in a modern, this would not work. This would not be made in like modern Hollywood because it's
Right.
like very. It's actually very like negative viewpoint on actors. how like how scummy they are. Like, even like just how like fucking how the Academy is and stuff. And so yeah, I don't picture it being remade or made nowadays. I mean, it could that type of story could work in a movie nowadays, but it probably wouldn't get any Oscar noms or anything.
Well, they'd have to go like a strong, promising young woman route because, like, the villain in the movie, quote unquote villain, is indeed a woman who's very driven to achieve her goals in a particular field. And even then, she gets dominated by a man. And so they'd have to twist the story somehow so that it was more purely like a man is a bad guy, and the woman is just perhaps a little misled in some fashion. I think that's what would happen if they tried it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my notes are all over the place, but so I'm probably gonna go out of. I'm not gonna probably go chronologically the movie story. I'm gonna jump around, but I know this is kind of interesting. In the opening, I think maybe even at the end of the movie, I'm trying to remember. They use a they use like there's narration in the movie a little bit, but especially in the beginning. And what I thought was interesting is the like there's a freeze frame shots or whatever, and with the narration, which is like that whole like cliche or whatever has been in movies for so long, like the freeze frame, and then someone narrates like this is my life, my name is and yeah, and so it's kind of it's interesting to see him. I don't know. This might be like the earliest movie to have it. I'm not sure.
But it felt surprising.
But it was kind of weird for like a movie from 1950 to have that. Now there's movies back then that narration, but that whole like freeze frame and narrate and play kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of interesting to see that in a movie from 1950. But yeah. What did you think about Marilyn Monroe in this movie?
I kind of missed her. I feel like I missed her. She didn't.
She wasn't in it that much.
I just remember like she didn't even like feel like Marilyn, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
I don't think she had quite developed, what she had as like a whole persona, and therefore, as a star, I think she still was crafting it in some fashion, and it just didn't shine through in this for how little she's in it. I mean, it's understandable, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched very many Marilyn Monroe movies before. I don't know, this old. I'm trying to remember what she was even in before this. If any, like very much. I mean, I think she was in some movies in like the late 40s or something, but I don't.
Maybe she hit it in the 50s though. Post Eve.
Yeah, and yeah, she was just a very small role. It was one of those two. Yeah, it wasn't full Marilyn. Like it was before. She was obviously casted in like being really pretty, but she wasn't like full Marilyn where she had the she would when she was full Marilyn, obviously she was always the main roles or whatever, or she even the way she looked in the movie, she was more extravagant or whatever looking than she was here. Like, she just looks like she blends in with everybody else. Because every movie she's in, you're like, no, that's Marilyn Monroe right there. You know, she sticks out, and they intentionally did that. You know, and so yeah, this is and so it's kind of interesting seeing her. She's still like done up and stuff, but she's not full Marilyn. Like, I think even this, like, I almost think she has like less makeup in this movie than she does the other ones, like later ones and stuff. And so yeah, it's kind of interesting. She's more low key in this movie. And so, but her character in this movie is like a lot of Marilyn Monroe characters. Oh, she's a blonde and she's an airhead. So yeah. But anyways, this movie too. It reminded me a lot of a Billy Wilder movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually almost thought it was made by him at first. I didn't know who made it, but I was kind of wondering. I was like, is this made by Billy Wilder? And I saw the director. It wasn't, but yeah, because it has like the same feeling as his movies. I mean, all of his movies are about somebody's involved in something or whatever, and but they're like a person that they're actually somebody else than what they show on the surface, kind of thing, or there's something like sketchy about somebody, or and then his movie is either, if it's a straightforward drama or a straightforward comedy, his dramas have like comedic elements, and then his comedies have a lot of like more dramatic elements to it or whatever. So this movie had that similar vibe to it. Didn't remind me a lot of a Billy Wilder movie, like the story and stuff, because well, of course, like Eve, she's not what she's actually not what she shows on the surface, and then even this movie's not a comedy, but there are elements that are kind of comedic. So yeah, have you seen any Billy Wilder movies?
Run through them.
Sunset Boulevard, The Apartment, Some Like It Hot, Sabrina, Ace in the Hole.
Billy Wilder, I do not know very well.
Something to something. I forgot what that movie was called. I'm trying to even think of his other movies. Yeah, I named off all his most famous ones, but I'm trying to remember. But yeah, you should watch some Billy Wilder movies.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. I actually think they're some of the best of the classic Hollywood era. Yeah. So, anyways, what's also is kind of interesting about this movie is because Bette Davis's character, the whole point of her character is that she's past her prime and she's kind of washed up. And behind the scenes of the movie, at this time, she was actually washed up. But funny enough, this is the movie that revived her role, or revived her popularity, or her to get more roles. But what's funny is, her quote unquote, like older Bette Davis, or like quote unquote washed up Bette Davis, or post washed up Bette Davis, is way more, the movie she did, her two biggest roles are when she was older than when she was like younger, supposedly in her prime or whatever. Like this and What Happened to Baby Jane are her two most famous roles, and those are movies made when Bette Davis was quote unquote not in her prime, which is interesting. And so, what did you think of Betty Davis in this movie?
I thought Bette Davis was great.
Yeah, I did too.
Obviously, she wasn't. How do I phrase this? She was definitely one of the classical film actors or whatever, and had that particular style to her. But of people who perform that way in movies, sometimes it's just like suffocating to watch, but sometimes they make that natural. You know what I mean? And she was one of the people who, like, something about her felt big, and so it felt entirely like reasonable to see her acting, performing whatever in this particular way. And yeah, also she's just beautiful to look at and so expressive and great.
Yeah, and her character in this wasn't actually, no, she was worse in real life. I've always heard stories over the years. I don't know what particulars. I don't know. I've heard things over the years about it's infamously known that like how like Bette Davis was so hard to work with and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's infamous. Like she was almost like infamous actresses to work with. Like she just would like, she's one of those that would, she wants to do what she wants to do, doesn't care what the director wants her to do, and like would I don't know, like yell at people and like be bossy towards people. And yeah, and in her later roles she kind of always like plays that type of character and stuff. And I guess supposedly she's just pretty much, what I've heard in those movies, she's just like playing herself, kind of. But yeah, I thought she was great in it. What were you gonna say about her hair?
I was talking about the scene where she gets thrown down on the bed by a man.
That's when she walks into the theater and
that's right.
Yeah,
has a little tantrum.
Yeah.
Another reason to pull a Tropic Thunder, I'll say, why this movie couldn't get made today. And I found it charming. I found the whole sequence charming and sweet, really, in a way. I don't know. How would you describe it? I wouldn't say manhandled.
Well, that actor was actually was that her husband in real life?
Damn, was he?
Yeah, I watched. I read a thing or whatever. I think that was her husband in real life, which I think that's why he works well with her in scenes, because they have actual genuine chemistry, because they're married in real life, and like that's why you do get like that's why you can tell they're actually very comfortable with each other and stuff, and yeah, they're very comfortable with each other, and like too, like both of them, you can tell they kind of, it's weird because they're playing characters, but they can like, because there's scenes where they can tell what the other person's thinking or feeling, but it like seems, it's very believable, because they probably have, even the characters they play are probably not too far off what they're like in real life, or had moments like that. And so yeah, and yeah, like they seem like they genuinely love each other in the scenes. And it's Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and I'm always for uh when casting people, like you should try to cast people as much as possible. What they're like, you almost should cast people based like how they play them, how they are in real life or whatever. But that's why I'm for. I mean, if they are good at acting,
I mean,
I'm for casting people that are actually a married couple in real life playing uh, the roles or whatever. But yeah. Um. What did you think about Eve in this movie?
I thought that the actress whose name nobody, it seems, can ever remember immediately for whatever reason.
You want me to look through the book again?
Pardon?
You want me to look through the book again just so I can find her name?
It's Anne Baxter.
Yes.
Yes. Anne Baxter, I thought she did a really, nice, great. I thought she did a great job, and I felt that she showed a strong amount of range, not just like, oh, I'm being manipulative now, or starting off very seemingly playing it genuine, but then letting there be cracks in it, her little performance as Eve's performance, I guess, and showing more and more how manipulative she really is. But also that great scene towards the end with the journalist who feels a lot like a movie producer in some fashion. The journalist character, what was his name? Addison.
Yes, Addison.
Where he just.
I actually liked his character quite a bit.
I did too. Yes. Where he breaks her down and shows goes through her truth, how her real name is Gertrude or something, and there was never any husband, and you were just using the war or whatever as a way to gain empathy, and that was an interesting touch considering the time. And how she just ends up on that bed doing a great movie star cry, and I remember her performance.
Addison was a true Sigma Chad.
Oh my God, Sigma for real.
Yeah.
When he eyes that 16-year-old at the end and just oh, I can use it. It's a movie producer character.
I think the character of Eve, I thought she was so fucking annoying.
Oh really?
I thought character was annoying and douchey. And I think obviously that was the point of the character. Because even in the beginning when she's giving her sob story, I was just and I had a feeling that, because I didn't know anything about this movie actually going in, I had a feeling that there's something off about her. She's not. There's something not genuine about her, and yeah, I thought she was annoying. I noticed too that almost all the scenes she's in with people, she always interrupts people when they're talking, and yeah, it's just really she's just really annoying, and she's just one of the. But that character is just your typical actor, like in real life, just somebody your typical there's hundreds of these of Eves in LA and New York and stuff. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
At least 100, and so yeah, I thought that was interesting. What did you think about the snappy dialogue in this movie?
be snappy dialogue. I thought the dialogue was pretty solid. I felt that the best dialogue scenes or whatever, the best dialogue was always between was it Margo and Bill, the two leads, Betty and the guy. I always felt that they had the best.
They have the best. Yeah, they have the best. The best chemistry for sure.
I like the little line. What was it? He didn't go upstairs to say hi because he was busy talking to Eve, and he goes like, "Oh, she told me you were undressing," and she goes, "That's never stopped you before." And I felt that was I like dialogue like that. You know, I think it's sweet. It's nice, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there was that line I did like. I think as Addison was there. When they're at that party, Marilyn says something about like she's like surprised how all the actors they look like lost or unhappy rabbits or something. I forgot what she said, and he says I forget what he says after that. It might not even been anything that.
No, I remember this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this was a good scene. Yeah.
But she's saying it's funny that she just realized how she's never met these people before, but she realized how it is true in real life how fucking actors are messed up people. They're so messed up, and that's why the whole party scene sequence is just there's this weird passive aggression or backstabbing. I mean that's why I never have. I would for the experience, but I almost have no interest in going to LA parties or anything. I just feel like that's all it is, just weird. It's probably a lot of passive aggression in the air.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, and I thought that was interesting. I actually thought the dialogue was pretty good in this movie. So yeah. Now I've read this. I don't know what you think of this. A lot of people say that this is an LGBT movie. Have you read that?
Yes, I think I have heard that in reference to this particular film. Yes.
I've never hear people say why, but I guess there's elements or parts in it but I don't know. I don't know if it's enough to fully qualify. There's moments of scenes where it seems like Eve wants to fuck Bette Davis or something.
Who wouldn't? But
yeah, but
I mean, I think I've said on this. I think I've said in a previous episode of this show actually that I'm sort of fascinated by all that hidden gay symbolism or whatever in old Hollywood pictures because that was so frowned upon and pretty much banished by that Hays Code deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in how some writers and such snuck elements of that in.
What's that movie? Cat on Hot Tin Roof. Which is it's a gay movie, but they never utter gay once or whatever. It's actually a gay movie, but because I think it's based on a book or a play or something. It's about a closeted gay guy, and even the book or play or whatever, they actually do say homosexual or gay or whatever. I don't think they used gay back then. They said homosexual, but they say it. But in the movie version, they never utter those words ever. in the movie. And,
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Well, a lot of those, I mean, even now, but a lot of those actors were. There's so many closeted people back then.
Tons, man.
Got James Dean. James Dean and Marlon Brando were bisexual, but not just that. They did fuck each other at least once. So that's what Brando admitted.
Really? Go Brando. Fuck.
Yeah, he mentioned that. I don't know. I think he was like discreet about it. Like, but he was always. I think some interview from like the '80s or something. He mentioned something, but it was one of those. I don't think he straight up said it, but he said that, "Oh, we did stuff" or something, but kind of implied. But yeah, because Brando, he actually was open later on, and he was actually like open like before that was like a common thing too.
Yeah,
like confidently, really? Where guys are like, "Yeah, I fuck dudes" or whatever. Like,
but I mean, Brando, this supremely confident.
Yeah, and
always.
Yeah, Rock Hudson too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then there's Anthony Perkins was bi or whatever, and he actually I think he did have sex with Rock Hudson. I do believe one time. I don't know if it was him. I don't think it might not have been Rock Hudson, but somebody else, some other actor he did.
With Tab Hunter, but Tab isn't that well. Like, he isn't thought of much. You know?
And well, James Dean never came out publicly, but people around him said he was or whatever. And Elizabeth Taylor said that he did came out to her because they were close friends, like privately or whatever. That he did mention or whatever. But he never, in the news or anything, ever came out or anything. But yeah.
That clip, did you ever see it of it's James Dean and who we were just talking about shit. Paul Newman.
Yeah.
I'm like little, there's a few actually that hold certain undertones, but there's one where they're like, I think it's one of them goes, "Kiss me now" or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's a old picture of Brando and Dean kissing. That picture or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they're like, and it looked, it might have been a quick kiss. I'm not sure how long the kiss was, but it looked like a passionate kiss. It's yeah.
I love that like we're talking about some old ass fucking dead people who were I think they were fucking. So like they were totally fucking.
Yeah. But if you watch this part, but like if you watch Roll Without a Cause, it's like the gayest movie ever.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Even what's his name in that movie too? What's his name? What's the actor's name? Sal. He was openly. I think he was just gay or something later on or whatever.
In Sal in old Hollywood.
Yeah, but because he's in that movie, he's James Dean's friend in that movie, and his character's really gay. He's like in love with James Dean in the movie. Like he's all like when he looks at him, he's like, like, and there's that part too. He's like, my dad's not home. You want to hang out or something? He tells him that in the movie. I don't know why he has to say my dad's not home.
My dad. God, how for
you? Yeah. But anyways, gonna move on from that. Yeah, I don't know. This might qualify as an LGBT movie, but I'm not sure if it fully is. I don't think it's not Rebel Without a Cause or Cat on a Hot Tin Roof level gay.
I don't. This is. I mean, at a certain point, I remember watching it and looking at some scene where it was mostly just Betty and and Eve together or whatever, and I remember sort of thinking like, oh, okay, maybe this is a little charged or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But aside from like a few brief little moments, I can't say I ever thought that. Certainly not as a theme, and not really as any particular undertone that they were trying to push out in any way. So I think that it's a little bit of a stretch to say that this is a real, like, you know.
Well, on Letterboxd, it's like every other review. They're like, yes, I buy Queen. Like every Letterboxd review, there's somebody trying to like say like some character in a classic film or something's gay. Like, yes, our king.
Well, that's because that all of these movies like are like there's something in them that's not quite camp. I'm not saying they're all like camp, the classic Hollywood shit, but there's something in it for like a gay audience of today where it's just like beautiful for them, and obviously they're gonna be like, you know, their minds will run into like seeing something because these movies are also made largely by they're either gay or homophobic, basically.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, like
on this, but I'm onto something about current audiences, especially lesbian audiences, I find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, especially like people like James Stewart or John Wayne were part of that era, but they were not. And they're the dudes that would not fuck with any of that stuff. I'm gonna insert, this has nothing to do with this movie again, but those with old actors, I'm gonna insert a fun fact. A weird, kind of crazy weird fact. What's her name? Novak. From she's in Vertigo. She's the blonde.
Yeah.
That plays the dual roles.
Gorgeous, yes.
Novak. Can
you hear me?
Yeah.
Kim Novak. What are you working about?
Oh, no. Okay. Her, because I mentioned James Stewart. She's still alive. She, over the years, she lives in Oregon. She, over the years, has been like a run-in acquaintance with my grandma.
Really?
Yeah, they have the same doctor.
That's
and they run into each other. And they go, oh, how you doing? Or whatever. Like, Kim Novak?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That's funny. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, sure.
So yes, my grandma knows the two chicks from Vertigo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, for some reason, I'll end this real quick. There's a lot of classic Hollywood actors for some reason live in Oregon. A lot of them do, like retired ones and stuff. I forgot. I don't know who it is. None of us know who it is, but supposedly some actor lived in my uncle owns the house, but my grandpa lived there when he died or whatever. But he died a few years ago. But supposedly some actress lived there, some classic Hollywood actress. She was in a lot of movies, but he forgot like her name or something. So none of us like know who it is or whatever. But yeah, for some reason, a lot of like retired people, even Shatner, I think, lived here at some point or something. Yeah. Oregon attracts like very old people and like boomers and stuff. It's very like attractive state for that. But anyways, so we can talk the ending of the movie.
Right.
So Eve, the end of the movie. So you remember the opening of the movie is when they're at the. It's not the Oscars, but it's like an award.
It's for theater people.
Yeah,
That's
theater
a
people.
important distinction, I guess.
Yeah, and so the movie. So the entire movie is like a flashback, but then at the end of the movie, they circle back to the beginning, and Eve gets success. She goes she goes back to her apartment or something, and then she finds out that there's some chick in her house. She's like, "What are you doing here?" The 16-year-old, and anyways, she's like, "I'm a big fan, whatever, blah blah." And she's like, "Fine, you can stay here. Make me a drink." And then Addison comes back, and he's like, "Oh, she left her award in the car." And he's like, "Who are you?" And it's kind of like kind of pervy. Yeah. And she thinks Addison's like daddy or something. She acts like that, and then, but anyways, he gives her the award. He leaves or whatever, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, put it on my bed or whatever, put it in the back somewhere or whatever." And and then the last shot is her in like it's like a mirror shot, and she's like holding the award, imagining her being like a famous actress like Eve, and and it kind of goes back to now Eve has her own Eve now.
Yep. Yeah. And note in a mirror, and the last shot is it's angled just so you can see dozens of other little Eve wannabes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so implying obviously but yeah. Another reason why it's still, a story that rings true or whatever today. Just showing the vast multitudes of cold manipulators who will do whatever to get to the top of their little artistic medium,
Mm. Yeah.
Nothing special about Eve. Even if it's all about her, there's nothing particularly special about Eve because it's shown to be a real sort of, drop in the Hollywood bucket.
Yeah. I thought about it. Maybe because it reminds me of that short film she did. I was thinking that they should remake this but with Dasha.
Dude, yeah, hell yeah, dude.
As like Eve, the Eve character.
Knock it out of the park, dude.
Yeah, maybe it reminded me of that because that short film she did or whatever.
What was it called?
Darby. The Darby something story. The Darby
Bernarski story.
Yeah.
Hell, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking that if they remade that or this type of movie, she like the perfect role for that character.
Oh yes, most certainly. I can see it now, man. That's great. We just need to find who plays Margo.
Maybe we should just like low key remake this movie, but not call it All About Eve. Just take the plot and then put her in the movie. Yes. Now I have an idea. Also, there's a band called All About Eve that I don't know if I've ever even listened to their music from the 80s. Have you?
A name? Wait, what?
There's a band called All About Eve.
Yes. It's kind of gay. I've never listened to them.
I think they're from the 80s. I don't even know what. I am assuming they're like new wave. That's my assumption. I don't even know what type of music they play, but they're from the 80s. I think I've heard their name before, but I never thought much or anything. I might even heard their music before. I just don't know if I have or not.
Let's see what they look like, I guess. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was right. It looks gay.
Yeah, it's a pretty interested in naming your band after this movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's just gay. I don't think this is where
that was a thing. That was a thing back then in the 80s, though. A lot of bands named themselves after movies like Alphaville. Man, Alphaville named themselves after Godard movie Alphaville.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a thing back then. Anyways, anywho, anything else about this movie you want to talk about?
My main takeaways from the film were the main relationship between, Margo and Bill, and the amusing sort of, illustrated most clearly at the end about how there are so many Eve Harringtons in this world, and no, that's me. Yeah, that's me summing it all up. That's me summing up my appreciation for the film. Oh, but to bring it a little full circle, not unlike the movie, as a classic film that I've never seen before or whatever, I feel that I've gotten a little more. I've gotten a better understanding of a particular field of film that I'm not that familiar with, and I think this was a good example of it. So yeah.
Yeah. I like this movie quite a bit. I don't think I have anything else to say about it.
Yeah.
How much time do you have?
How much time do I have?
Yeah.
10 minutes probably would be good, because I told myself I'd do like a thing I had to do. But
okay.
The 20, whatever.
Okay.
What you have to say.
Okay. I don't know. So yeah, because we usually like ramble about random stuff that's sort of related at the end. So,
yeah, but dude, fuck it. Podcast comes first. What do you have? What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? Well, who says that? What's going
I'm Tucker.
on? Tucker Carlson?
Yes. What's going on? A woman.
You know who does the best? The best Tucker Carlson impression I heard is Nick Mullins.
Oh my god.
He actually like the weird the cadence of it. Like I can't do it. It's
what's going on?
What's going on? What's going on?
There's nude pictures of me all over me.
And it's actually might be the best Nick Mullen impression, because Nick Mullen's like impressions are funny, but they're like really bad.
Yeah. The funniest ones always are the ones that are like weirdly close to what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on?
Oh yeah. I have an announcement that doesn't even need an announcement to make, because it's not like I'm announcing a movie or coming out as Tiger sexual or something. I don't know. I'm not. This announcement doesn't need to happen, but I'm gonna go full because I've been into most of my day is like consuming media like I watch a lot of movies, I listen to a lot of music and stuff, and I've decided because I've collected movies, I've collected music, I own a lot of shit. I own a lot of really random stuff that I don't even know why I have it. Like I have like a bunch of chords for like things I like. There's stuff I have. I'm like I don't even know what this chord goes to because I own like I sold a lot of my stuff. I even owned, which was really bad when I owned a lot of video game consoles and stuff. That was really bad. That's a hobby that's like, oh my god, you're gonna hoard so much shit. It's not like collecting records or something. Like video game, you're fuck, dude. Like you have way too much crap. And video games suck. That sucks as a hobby. That fucking sucks because a lot of that shit either like doesn't work a lot of times. It's really old, but also that's like the most expensive fucking hobby. It's for no reason. It's no reason why it's that expensive, but it is. Anyways, but an extension of that, I'm gonna go full. I'm gonna go full like not just audio file, but like video file, or I don't know what you call it. I'm going full on. It's that time. I've always wanted to go that mile, but I'm at a time in my life where I can afford to go that mile, so I'm gonna go full. I'm gonna be a Spurgy audiophile now. I'm gonna be like Vincent Gallo.
Oh my god, you're gonna be toiling away on your speaker for 13 years, dude.
Yeah, no, and then not just that. It's gonna be like other stuff too, like I don't know, like even with like movie stuff or whatever. Like I'm gonna go full because I've always wanted to get into the technical aspects of like either speakers or even like cameras or something. Like I've always wanted to do that, but the only reason why I never done it throughout my life is because I didn't have like any money or anything, and so because that stuff like costs money or like time or whatever. Like I've been wanting to do that stuff since I was in high school, but I couldn't because I didn't have any money and I was in school and stuff. So it's like I couldn't do it. But now I have money and time, and so I can get into that stuff now. So yeah, it's been a thing I always wanted to get into, but it's just funny. The only funny thing about it's not really that funny, but the funny thing is, it's like I'm slowly turning into Vincent Gallo.
You are kinda, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I grew up watching when I was a teenager I watched a lot of I was really into watching videos of I watched a lot of like collection type videos and stuff, but what I watched a lot too was like people showing off like, oh, here's this Betamax player from it's a specific model from 1983 that did this and this. Like I was like into that stuff. Like I would watch, and it's like stuff I knew in my brain, and I was like I cannot afford this. There's no way I can ever afford this or whatever or do this. And right. So yeah, now I have the money and the time, and so I now I'm gonna get into that stuff I always wanted to get into. And so yeah, I would watch like there's that guy, he still makes videos, it's like Tech Moan or something, where he just shows, that's his whole channel. Like he's that kind of guy that he just collects like weird, like either like video formats or like music formats or like computer, like just weird shit like that. And like a lot of his channel is like he fixes a lot of things. He's kind of similar to Vincent Gallo, sort of like kind of that type of he only does some of the hi-fi gears. Like that's all his channel is. And right. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that stuff. I'm gonna like I've always loved like older like technology and stuff, and I even like I own a lot of stuff, and I own like Like I own a broken film projector. I own a lot of crap that like I don't use. Like there's like microphones I have that are way better than mine that I don't even use. Like I have stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna get into that stuff. And it's good too. I need something. I mean, I'm always productive, but like I'm always like still like in my I don't know. Like the things I do are like just like still in my head a lot, and I want to like something. I feel like I need more focus. So this type of hobby is like a good focus because I can like really like hone in like instead of like sitting around just watching a movie or listening to music or whatever. Like I'm doing something productive with that leisure like that leisure time or something. Like I'm almost watching a movie and listening to music with like purpose now. I mean, I usually do watch movies with purpose because I do like watch movies for the podcast and stuff. But I now am like doing stuff. My leisure activities now almost have more purpose and like I'm actually getting more productive doing it. That's why I think that's why a lot of people are like into that kind of hobby because now you're not just watching a movie just because you're watching a movie. Like you almost like worked your way to watch this movie a certain or listen to a record a certain way. Like you're kind of working your way. You feel fulfilled. You feel like you're not wasting time during the day.
Dude, I do this shit, dude. You convinced me. I have to get in.
Yeah.
Because like times, man, there are times I'll admit where I'm just like, you know, man, I'm watching this fucking movie. I'm watching like I don't know what. Like I watched that movie Hell or High Water today. Good movie. Maybe not a movie that I needed to spend 2 hours of an afternoon on or whatever. But if I could like just like I don't know, buy some old ass like film projector and like hang a sheet up in a room or whatever, and then watch Hell or High Water, dude, I would be much happier with myself, man. You've convinced me.
Yeah, and I got well, the reason why I jumped into this too was I'm now I kind of decided a couple years ago that I'm gonna make if I create something, I'm now only gonna create things based on I'm not gonna create things based on convenience anymore, but I'm gonna actually like when I film something or record something that like I'm gonna film and record on something I think's the best. The thing it deserves the most, like format to be on or whatever, or the type of camera, or whatever it is, what I think's the best. So that's how I kind of am now getting into while doing that because I have done stuff with like I filmed stuff on like a VHS, my old VHS camera a while ago, and so so now I'm like going beyond just creative stuff, just like with like leisure activities in general, and so yeah, I've like what was I gonna say? But I'm not one of those people because there's different types of people. There's people that intentionally like let's just say audiophiles for example. There's guys that intentionally listen to stuff based on like the highest quality possible, regardless what it is. But then I'm more of like I think Vincent Gallo is like one of those people that intentionally listen to stuff well based on what's the best way to listen to it, but also like it doesn't have to be like the music doesn't always have to like be like clean and perfect and like have like you know what I mean, like there's like it's fine if the recording's not totally good like or like technically high quality or whatever, but you're kind of like I know like English, like some of those people like they listen to stuff based on what they think is like the best way, like what fits the record more or something like that, like the best way to listen to it. Because not all the time it new very high quality new $5,000 equipment or something like that's not the best way to listen all the time. Like you kind of like it can be like you know equipment that's less money or whatever. But yeah, some of that, like the movies I'm watching, everything's I think was the best way to watch it or experience it or whatever. And so yeah, I've always been nerdy and like into that kind of stuff. But now that I'm older, I actually have money and time, so now I can actually get into that stuff.
That's very
So,
inspiring. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, and so um, yeah, I'm gonna be like tinkering with shit. Uh, I'm gonna yeah, I don't know, but anyways, so yeah, that's yeah, I'm fully in that kind of world now. I'm gonna be, which actually is gonna be it's gonna make me actually in a weird way, I think, more creative in a sense too, because I'm gonna have like a more like technical way of looking at things now and stuff. I'm gonna have more.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Hmm. I've started pulling together something for a little short, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I do kind of believe in the power of jinxing.
Yes. I don't even talk about my like projects I'm working on anymore. I don't do it because I notice the more I talk about it, the more I don't do it.
Yeah.
Like that album I came out with that nobody listened to, Fashion Killer. Just look at Ash Montoya either on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, preferably Bandcamp, because cha-ching. Or YouTube, you'll find the album. But that album, I didn't even what worked for me to why it got done and released is because I didn't really talk about it or anything, and that's what helped, I think. And so yeah, I don't really talk about things unless I'm working on something with somebody, but that's the only time. I don't. But if I just don't talk to like people I know about stuff I'm working on anymore. I just don't do it.
Now I have to work against a jinx. Great. I kind of fucked myself there, didn't I? Whatever. You know what? Fuck it, dude. Who gives a shit? I'm just gonna give it whatever. But you know, what am I doing? No, yeah. I guess I don't have, other than that, anything to say. Okay. Except, are you interested in that Betsy Brown movie?
In what movie?
The Actors film. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
What was it? What?
You know who Betsy Brown is, obviously.
Yeah.
Her movie Actors, starring her and her brother Peter, which has yet to be properly released. It's only been shown at like some screenings in like New York and LA.
Yeah, I've heard. I know what it is, but I don't know if I have interest in it. Maybe I do. Yeah, I know who Betsy Brown is because she's in that Scary 61st or whatever.
Yeah, and I think she's one of the more like.
I mean, I would have I would have interest in watching it. I know what it is, but I don't think I really like thought much of it or whatever.
I was listening to a Ion interview with her. I don't have an Ion Patreon account. I don't have a Patreon account at all.
You listen to it for free?
I listen to a free app on whatever my podcasting that I always listen to my pods on. And I remember her talking about it, and I think I want to see it. I want to see it like a proper screening, which, as we were talking about, like how we want to view the media we consume. I'd love to go to like a a proper screening of a motion picture that I believe in, because I sort of I don't know how I want to say this, because I could come off wrong, but that particular branch of creative people, I don't know if I look up to them, but I admire what they've been doing, and I would like to support them in any normal way,
Yeah.
He's in your Dasha, etc.
Yeah. Now, with that film, it'll probably just play in, like, big cities. That's it, probably.
I don't imagine it going to Oregon or whatever.
Portland? Maybe Portland. Because they do get stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they would get it. But, yeah. Depends. I wouldn't go to Portland to watch a movie anyways, because it's a fucking shithole. But I remember I listened to Red Scare. They were saying Anna was talking about her trip to it's like an older episode, but she was talking about her trip to London, how bad it was, and she said it's the Portland of Europe, but it's still better than Portland. She said it's
I love her, but yeah.
I'd be interested in watching it. Yeah. So, is it one of those that is it gonna get streaming or home video release, or is it gonna be like promises written in water, where it's just gonna be screened a few times and that's it?
It's looking like she's interested in getting a wider distribution, but it seems apparently to be less of a mainstream affair than like Scary was. So I don't know, make of that what you will. I'm confident that it'll be shown at some point, but you got to strike while the iron's hot, and it's already been like 2 years since the film's been completely wrapped, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think too what's funny when I talk to people from live in California or whatever, like I like I always get a sense, like, when I talk about things, like they like I don't know, like it could be seeing a movie or whatever, just an activity, like people are like, oh yeah, I forgot you live in Oregon. Like there's less options or something. Even though we do have there is a lot of options. We do get. I live outside of college town, so they have art house theater and stuff, and so I've seen movies there and stuff, like movies that they would don't play anywhere else and stuff. Yeah, but it is funny. Because it's like a lot of people are just I always, they don't say it directly, but I always get the sense people are just like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Oregon-based bigotry, dude.
Oregon is the Canadian it's like Canadian California. Yeah.
You have to take a lot because of being what do you call yourselves?
Oregonian. Oregonian. Or Portland, they call themselves Portlandites. Ugh.
Alright. Okay.
Yeah. We do have a lot of stuff here. It's way better than like fucking Iowa or whatever. Like Oregon is highly popular. Like there's activities and things. But yeah, a lot of people there's a lot of people that assume there's like nothing here, but there's like a lot of shit. A lot of people think that Oregon is like I always have people saying like, isn't that just farms, or like isn't that like racism or something? And And the funny thing is, Oregon is like one of the most lived-hard states ever. It is really bad.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to California, or I don't think it's as bad as California, but it's very similar to California. Similar politics and things, and that's why I think it's ironic when people say that. Like, assumes like, I mean, yeah, there's people, I guess, like in rural areas, but it's very liberal, especially Portland is like the most, like, maybe you could even argue like the most liberal city. Like, it's pretty bad with that stuff. But people, yeah, it's a weird. I mean, it is a pretty weird state. Like, it's all over the place. Like the weather, like, is not like there. We have like woods, but then we have cities, but then we have desert, but then we have like mountain. It's very like all over the place, and there's a lot of like different cultures here. The cultures are like all over the place. Like, you got. That's why like I live in like the middle of everything. So I live in the middle of like college towns and like the capital, Salem, Oregon. Then I live like near Portland and then like rural areas. So I live in like the middle of all of that. So like I get like a lot of like weird cultural hodgepodges of people. Like, it's very like weirdly mixed. Like, that's why like my school, like the population was kind of weird. Like you get there's a lot of there's a high Russian, Slavic in general population in Oregon. Very high amount. I even was like friends with a few people that were like Russian, like Ukrainian and stuff. Yeah, like a lot of Mexicans in my high school. I think there was more Mexicans than white people. And then yeah, like, you get whites, and you get Mexicans, and you get rednecks, but then you get like not really here where I live, but like obviously in the college towns and stuff, you have a lot of like hipsters and like soy boys. Corvallis, Oregon, which is where I live outside of, has a lot of soy boys. Most soy boys I think you've seen here. And then there's rednecks, hipsters. There's weird potheads. There's what was the other group I was thinking of that I left out? Yeah, there's like all those like people, and so it's a pretty weird mix. And I did say this in the group chat. It's weird because I live in Albany, which is not. It's not a small town. It's kind of in the middle. What would you consider is 50,000 people a small town?
No, I wouldn't say.
It's like middle size. Like it's in the middle.
Pretty basic.
It's not big. It's not like Portland's almost 1 million people. It's not. But it's in the middle, I guess. It's weird when I walk around here. I look like a fucking. Okay, I do dress like a fucking faggot. I'm like I don't dress. I don't say I won't. I don't do it all the time, but I am very expressive with what I wear, and yeah, I do get looks a lot, but then which like Corvallis, Oregon is just right there. And if I go there, I'm like normal. I'm actually like the least weird looking person there. So it's very like this strange. Well, I think that's what's strange too. Yeah, you just get people that. I remember there's people like when I was in elementary school. I've had moments of long hair more than I've had with short hair throughout my life. And when I was in elementary school, I had short hair. And like in elementary and middle school, not so much high school, but people would like make fun of me, like, you're weird, you have long hair. And then, but then when I go to like any of the other towns, like I was like normal, kind of like it's just weird how that is. Like these towns are not far apart from each other, but it's just weird. Like people are trapped in a mindset. Like people like blend in with like their town, and it's like everywhere, every state, has that and stuff. It's just kind of weird how people are like that. I don't know. I mean, like, and it's weird too. Like, and the long hair thing was funny because it's like this was like 10 to 15 years ago, and it's like that's not like this. Even then, it wasn't weird. Like, this isn't the fucking, I don't know, like the 50s or something. Like, people acted like that. That's what was really strange. And there's just a lot of people are trapped. That's why I want to make a movie that's set here, because it's a very interesting subject. It's just, it'd make like an interesting kind of subject, and, for a film. There's just people that are trapped. I've lived here my whole life, and there's other people I know too that have, but I think there's a lot of people that, like me, have adapted pretty good, but there's a lot of people that just cannot adapt to anything else but their town or their culture. Like, they're trapped, like, in this kind of weird limbo or purgatory, where they're kind of like, my town I grew up in is what the rest of the world is like, kind of weird thing. Like, they assume, like, that's why they think, like, people outside of Oregon are, like, weird. Even though they're not, but they think like that. I don't know. Like, people are very isolated in their thinking, and it's kind of just, it's just interesting. The long hair thing I thought was, like, weird. Like, you've never seen a guy with long hair, even, like, in movies, or, like, that's just music. Like, it's just, like, super, like, strange. I mean, there's people that didn't think that was strange, but it's just kind of interesting. Like, well, there's people that I talk to that have lived here a long time, and they're like, I talk to them about, like, current events things, or, like, cultural, like, pop cultural things, and they're just like, what's that? They're like, what's that? I don't even know what that is. And they look at me weird, like it's an alien thing. And it's like, no, this is actually really popular around the world. Like, this isn't a weird... It's not like I'm talking to you about the brown bunny or something. Like, it's like, yeah, it's just weird. Like, people are like that around here. Like, they just are, I don't know, they're trapped in this weird state. But you know what's really annoys me? I'm going to end this. This is probably the last thing we talk about. What really bothers the fuck out of me is we live on the West Coast, and the Northwest is similar. Okay, so the Northwest has its own it has its own accent, but it's not. It's like California and like Washington, Oregon, like they're different from each other, but they're kind of mostly the same. Like, they're not too far off from each other. Like, I think both of us have West Coast accents, just standard West Coast accents. But there's people here, and I'm not talking about people that came from a different state or whatever, but people that are from here, their family grew up here, that talk in like a fucking Midwest or like Southern accent. Really? Is fucking weird. And my ex, who is from California, moved here like 5 years ago or whatever, brought that up, how she thought that was really weird. She's like, why are they talking like that? Not everybody does, but there's a lot of people that do. I don't know. And it's not even has to do with, like, these people are like, they're not like trailer park. I mean, there's trailer park people that do talk like that, but like, just like suburban people. And it's just really bizarre. I don't even know where that comes from. Like, it's super strange because geography-wise, it like does not make sense. Why the fuck would you talk like you're from Texas or something? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And it bothers the fuck out of me. I don't know why. And maybe it shouldn't bother the fuck out of me, but it does. Because I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, it's like going to New York and somebody's talking like in a fucking, I don't know, Wisconsin accent or something. It's like, what are you doing? What is this? Didn't you grow up in New York? What the fuck is this? It's like, it bothers me. It should not bother me, but it does bother me when people don't talk in the accents in the place they live. Like, it doesn't match. It's just like, what? Someone that grew up in Texas didn't talk like they're from Jersey. It's just weird. Like, what? Unless they're from Jersey, it makes sense. But if you're, like, grew up in Texas, you should not speak in a fucking Jersey accent. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just think it's really weird that people talk like that. And people that talk like that, it's always the people I don't like. I just don't like. They're always like really like rude and like retarded,
Right.
and so I'm just like racist towards people that speak in Southern accents here. I'm racist towards them. Like I do not become friends with them. I don't even bother talking to them. I ignore them as much as possible. Like if you open your mouth, my only excuse is if you're from the South. If you're from your family's from the South, I don't care. But if you fucking grew up here, I'm gonna fucking like judge you. I'm negatively. And people say those people too say I talk weird. You talk weird. No, I talk in the accent I'm supposed to talk. You know, a West Coast accent. I don't. I did like a dialect test, and it said that my accent was the region as close to. It's funny. It was Northern California. That was the closest like I talked to, and I was like, okay, so I just talk normal West Coast. I do say, I do say like a lot, which a lot of people from California do. They say like a lot, and so yeah, I just talk in standard West Coast accent as I should. If I lived in Texas, if I grew up in Texas, I better talk in a Texan accent. I fucking better. If I didn't, if I talked in a New York accent or something, I should like if my alternate universe self was like doing that, I should be like beaten to like talk in a Texan accent. You know, I know it's not. I know it's nothing to get mad at, but yeah, it just bothers me. Is that weird? That bothers me that much?
No, I could understand that being a pet peeve, but I mean, I'm sure that like it was a little worse to you after you found that people that talk like this were assholes, right?
Yeah, but it's a common trend. I don't know any nice people that talk like that. Is that weird? It's like weird. It's like a pattern. Too. Like the people with the West Coast accents are fine. The people that speak in a Southern Midwest accent are like always rude or like douchebags. Like everybody I've known is always it's like that. I've never met a nice person that spoken in a fucking Midwest or Southern accent here in Oregon. I've never met them. It's really funny. I don't know, like it's really funny. But yeah. Anyways, do you have anything you want to say? Anything?
Just that, like, I live in California and things are very nondescript in my particular part of California.
Is it just standard Californian?
Yeah, very basic.
Okay.
Like, what's it when you're sort of in the middle?
Ooh, Northwest.
Yeah.
Now, Northwest is pretty much the same as California. It's a bit different. But even like a lot of the Californian accents are a bit. There's some differences. Like, if you go like more like my ex talked weird. She talked in that kind of that weird. She didn't talk like a surfer, but she talked in that like weird Californian. What's that calm like Californian accent like that? Where they're like, yeah, they talk like it's very flowery kind of like air. It's almost like vocal fry. It's pretty much vocal fry, that accent.
I don't hear a lot of that because, like, I'm either.
But that's how she talked. She pretty much had like vocal fry, like that kind of. She kind of talked like not somewhat kind of like Dasha, but almost closer to Anna. Cause it's weird because Anna lives in the East Coast, but she has that kind of like her voice. She almost sounds very like California West Coast, don't you think?
Not that personality thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in her voice. I mean, but my ex talks almost closer to that. Like she kind of had a, well, she would say things like she would say like Albany. She would say Albany or theater. Which my uncle because my family's from California, my uncle talks like that too. He says Albany. He says Albany or theater, or whatever.
Theater. That's how I say.
Yeah.
I spend most of my whatever, either in my own little small, middle class, working class sort of place where I live, my residence.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I'm in just very bland, sort of upper middle class suburby place because I do a lot of dog sitting for work.
Yeah.
And so all the accents, quote unquote, I mean, I've lived here all my life, so it's hard to differentiate it from anything else. But I just, it's all just so plain, and I envy you. You're strange.
But there's people that talk. There's a lot of people that talk plain here, but there's just a lot of people that talk that southern. It's a weird mix. It's not consistent. It's kind of weird. But the Northwest accents, it's pretty much the same. The only now the Northwest accents, the perfect example would be Kurt Cobain had it. It's actually more. I heard that a lot of women, but Kurt Cobain talked like that. A lot of women have their voice sounds more shaky. There's a shakiness, when they talk, they talk like this, that kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of shakiness.
More attention to this stuff.
Yeah, and Kurt Cobain kind of had. Do you think he kind of had a vocal fry? He kind of did.
Or whatever with him, and he did have that
Well, there's a lot of people here. I don't. When I was younger, I kind of had more of a vocal fry. A lot of people around here. There's some people, usually women, that do have vocal fry. That's why when I first listened to Red Scare, I didn't actually think much of their voices. So it's normal to me. But then I didn't realize vocal fry was a thing. I thought that was normal speaking voice.
Even though it's totally corrosive.
Yeah.
For your voice,
Yeah. But I'm gonna wrap this up. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Bye.